Today I'm going to give away a free t-shirt, ask and answer a question, and reveal the books I bought this week. How y'all doing? I'm Victor, and you are watching a Comic Hero Show. Now kick that intro!
One, two, three, four.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host, Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. The summer of superheroes continues, and on this episode, I'm showing some love to the Sentinel of Liberty, Captain America. Now I'm going to touch base on him later on, but for right now, it's time to give away a free t-shirt. Alright, on last week's episode I asked, the Matrix Supergirl who debuted in 1988 was created by which Superman villain in an alternate timeline? Well, the correct answer is Lex Luthor. And 3 people have answered correctly, and because they've answered correctly, their names have been in a drawing for a free tee. And that drawing takes place right now. So the winner of the free tee for this episode of the show is Mike Alderman from Lafayette, Louisiana. So congratulations, Mike. You get yourself a free Comic Hero tee. Alright, here's the question for next week's episode. And because I'm showing some love to Captain America on this episode, this is a Captain America question. Who did Captain America famously punch in the face on the cover of Captain America Comics #1? Was it A, Benito Mussolini, B, Adolf Hitler, or C, Joseph Stalin? Alright, here's some hints to help. The first thing is that this dictator was an Austrian-born German politician who was the dictator of Germany in the Nazi era from 1933 until his suicide in 1945. The second hint, this dictator established a totalitarian fascist state responsible for initiating World War II and orchestrating the Holocaust. Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in a drawing for a free tee on next week's episode of the show. So, I gotta ask, any questions?
Questions I walk around in, questions I didn't thrive in, questions I will survive in, questions.
This question comes from Dr. Matthew James from Monroe, Louisiana. He asked, are Nick Fury and Sergeant Fury of the old Marvel Comics connected by coincidence of name only? Dr. James, I'm about to blow your mind. Sergeant Fury and Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D., are the same person. Now you're probably wondering, how is that? Well, for starters, Fury and Rogers, I mean, of course I'm talking about Captain America, are the same age. They were born around the same time, and they served together in World War II. Now, I don't know if this happened before or after Rogers was believed to have drowned in the Atlantic. Oh, by the way, he didn't. Well, while on a tour of duty, rather, Fury ends up stepping on a landmine, and as a result, he almost died. And I think this also was a result of him losing his eye. Well, there was a scientist that invented this concoction that saved his life called the Infinity Formula. It healed him of his injuries, and it also caused his aging to halt. But it also came with a catch. He would have to be injected with the Infinity Formula every year on the same day. And there was this miniseries from Marvel that came out back in 2014 called Original Sin, where there were a lot of revelations and secrets had come to light. And the secret of Fury's was that along the way he ended up addicted to the Infinity Formula and he couldn't kick it. And as a result of this coming to light, he ended up having the affinity for him get stripped from his DNA, and he aged in real time. He ended up in his 90s. But yeah, they're the same person. Now, keep in mind, this is in the comics. This isn't in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. As to how that theory as to that theory, I really can't say it very much. All right, I'm really loving these questions that y'all have been asking me ever since I started doing the Any Questions segment. Y'all keep them up. I'm going to have some on future episodes. But if you want to ask me a question so I can answer it, you are more than welcome to do so. But remember, they have to have something to do with comics or anything within the realm, or they can have something to do with me in terms of the show or the hobby. But please, no personal or tasteless questions. I will neither ask nor answer them here on the show. All right, let's get to the comics I bought this week. Comic books I bought this week. All right, here we go. First up is Absolute Batman number 22. Absolute Catwoman number 2. Barbara Gordon Breakout number 3. Daredevil number 4. Emperor Aquaman number 19. The Fury of Firestorm number 4. Green Lantern Corps number 18. Sorcerer Supreme number 8. Speed Racer number 10. Supergirl number 15. Thundercats Silverhawks number 4. The Uncanny X-Men number 31. And finally, Wolverine number 23. Alright, that's 13, which brings the total number of comics that I bought since December of 1997 to 14,742. Alright, well, I hope y'all enjoyed this week's episode. And here's a question again for a free tee for next week's episode of the show. Who did Captain America famously punch in the face on the cover of Captain America Comics number 1? Was it A, Benito Mussolini, B, Adolf Hitler, or C, Joseph Stalin? Alright, here's some hints to help. The first hint is that this dictator was an Austrian-born German politician who was the dictator of Germany in the Nazi era from 1933 until his suicide in 1945. And then the second hint, this dictator established a totalitarian fascist state responsible for initiating World War II and orchestrating the Holocaust. Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in a drawing for a free tea on next week's episode of the show. And congratulations to Mike Alderman from Lafayette, Louisiana, who won a free tea on this episode. Alright, as part of my Summer of Superhero series, I'm showing some love to the Sentinel of Liberty, Captain America. Now, Captain America made his first appearance in Captain America Comics #1 in December of 1940 and was created by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. Steve Rogers, which is Captain America's real name, was born in the 1920s to an impoverished family on the Lower East Side of New York City. The frail and sickly Rogers attempts to join the U.S. Army in order to fight in World War II, but is rejected after being deemed unfit for military service. His resolve is nevertheless noticed by the military, and he is recruited as the first test subject for Project Rebirth, a secret government program that seeks to create super soldiers through the development of the super soldier serum. Though the serum successfully enhances Rogers to the peak human physical perfection, a Nazi spy posing as a military observer destroys the remaining supply of the serum and assassinates its inventor, Dr. Abraham Erskine, preventing this prevented future productions of super soldiers. Now, Rogers is given a patriotic uniform and shield by the American government and becomes the costume superhero Captain America. He goes on to fight the villainous Red Skull and other members of the Axis powers, both domestically and abroad, alongside his sidekick Bucky Barnes as a member of the Invaders. In the final days of the war, Rogers and Barnes seemingly perish after falling from an experimental drone plane into the northern Atlantic Ocean. Rogers is found decades later by the Avengers, the super soldier serum having allowed him to survive frozen in a block of ice in a suspended animation. He reawakened in modern times, and he resumes activities as a costume hero, joining and later becoming leader of the Avengers. Many of his exploits involve missions undertaken for the Avengers or for SHIELD, which stands for Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement and Logistics Division. And SHIELD is an espionage and international law enforcement agency operated by his former war comrade Nick Fury. Through Fury, Rogers befriends Sharon Carter, a SHIELD agent with whom he eventually begins a partnership and an on-again, off-again romance. He meets and trains Sam Wilson, who becomes the superhero Falcon, and they establish an enduring friendship and partnership. Wilson at one point took on the mantle of Cap after Rogers was temporarily stripped of the super soldier serum. Now he and Rogers share the title. Through it all, he's been one of the faces of Marvel Comics and continues to be an icon of American pop culture. He is one of my favorite superheroes, and not just him, but also Sam Wilson. I kind of like when Bucky was Captain America. I just wish he didn't have to carry around a gun. Just saying. All right, this is a Captain America Comic Hero tee. If you would like one, you can find them on comicheroshop.myshopify.com for $20. All right, here's the road ahead for the show. The Summer of Superheroes rolls on the next episode 569. I'm celebrating the 65th anniversary of Marvel's first family, the Fantastic Four. And then on episode 570, in anticipation of the movie that's coming out in theaters at the end of the month, I'm showing some love to The Amazing Spider-Man. Then episode 571, well, because I'm a Louisiana boy and this character is a Louisiana boy, I'm showing some love to the X-Man known as Gambit. Then on episode 572, I'm showing some love to the King of Asgard, Thor. Yeah, he's the king now, by the way. And then on episode 573, in anticipation of the TV series that's premiering on HBO, I'm showing some love to the Green Lanterns. Not just Hal Jordan, not just Jon Stewart, not just Guy Gardner, not just Simon Baz, not just Jessica Cruz, not just Joe Mullane, all of them. All right, if you're watching this for the first time on YouTube, welcome. As soon as you're done, hit subscribe. If you're watching this on the Louisiana Delta Content Creators Facebook page, welcome. And as soon as you're done, go on YouTube and hit subscribe. And if you're watching this on Buzzsprout, welcome. And as soon as you're done, go on Buzzsprout and hit subscribe, and if you want to, go on YouTube and hit subscribe. Oh, and I just want to mention this. I'm going to be a vendor at GeekCon next month. Now, GeekCon is August the 14th through the 16th at the Shreveport Convention Center in downtown Shreveport, Louisiana. We're going to have a lot of great guests there. There are going to be some guests. There are going to be a lot of great vendors. I'm going to be one of them. And then some of the guests that are going to be there are Shannon Elizabeth, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, David Arquette, and some of the actors that played Ghostface in some of the Scream movies. It's all, I tell you, it's never a dull moment at GeekCon. So as Loretta Lynn used to say, y'all come. All right, I'm Victor Nolly and a Comic Hero. I'll see you next week for episode 569. So until then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero.
Yeah.